Yeah, okay. Yep. Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Metro Inner Development Assessment Panel, Thursday, 12th of June. I declare the meeting open at 9:35 a.m. and I acknowledge we're hosting this meeting on the traditional land of the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and we acknowledge the Aboriginal people as the traditional custodians of Western Australia. Pay respects to elders past and present, and the ongoing connection between people, land, waters and community. The meeting will be run in accordance with DAP Standing Orders 2024 under the Planning and Development Assessment Panels Regulations 2011. The meeting is being recorded and live streamed on the DAP website in accordance with Regulation 42A of those regulations. Members are reminded to announce their name and title prior to speaking. Panel members may refer to technical devices throughout the meeting to assist them in considering the information for them. For this part of the meeting, I will now introduce the panel members. My name is Karen Hyde. I am your presiding member today. To my left, Eugene Coltas, Deputy Presiding Member. To Mr. Coltas's left, John Symes, Specialist Member. And online, Councillor Raj Doshi, Local Government DAP Member, City of Perth. And we will be joined later for the next item by Councillor Daniel Minson, Local Government DAP Member, Town of Victoria Park, and Councillor Peter Melrosa, Local Government DAP Member, Town of Victoria Park. We have apologies from Councillor Liam Gobbert, Local Government DAP Member, City of Perth, and Deputy Lord Mayor Bruce Reynolds, Local Government DAP Member, City of Perth. Item 3, no members on leave of absence. Item 4, noting of minutes. Minutes of previous meetings are available on the DAP website. Now move to part B of the agenda for the City of Perth. First of all, I'd like to seek declarations of due consideration. Could panel members raise their hand to acknowledge they've read everything in part B and related information part B? Thank you. Due considerations been given by all. Panel members, are there any declarations of interest? Councillor Doshi, was this considered at council at all, this item? No. Okay. And no further declarations from other panel members. Thank you. We will move then to the item and receive the presentation. We have lot 701, number 77 Francis Street, Northbridge, alterations and additions to existing building for use as a multi-purpose event space function centre. In accordance with DAP Standing Orders, presentations are limited to 3 minutes. Extension's been granted, so I'm sure you'll be able to stick to that time frame and focus on the key items. We have a presentation from Alan Stewart in support of the RAR, but Alan, I think you have Jack Tesser and Brett Gibson, who are also available for questions. Is that correct?
That's correct. Brett's online, and we also have another staff member from Jack's office.
Okay, what's your name, please?
Ethan Brown.
Ethan Brown. Thank you, Ethan. And you're from Live Nation, is it?
From Encon.
Encon, thank you. Okay. So Alan, over to you when you're ready. We have received your presentation, so.
Thank you, Presiding Member. Good morning, members, everyone else. I'll be very brief today. I think, we're very pleased the City has supported this application. It's a bit different to the usual applications we bring here. It's nice to work in something like this. So this is by the Live Nation Group, music operators. They've recently completed 2 similar projects in Brisbane, 42 Music Hall and Hindley Street Music Hall in Adelaide. And this will be the 3rd major investment here. So it's great to see, I think, this investment in a part of Northbridge that's perhaps been lacking over the years, this central bit of Francis Street. There's a conversion of 2 of the former European foods warehouses on the south side of Francis Street. So it's up to 3,000 person music venue. It'll operate all year round. I think it falls in the use class of a nightclub, but it is effectively a live music venue. There's been a lot of input from Live Nation's architect, who have done their other venues, the project managers, and of course an acoustic consultant. So they can operate this venue under the current noise regs. if the new regulations come in for the new special entertainment precinct for Northbridge, and that's even better. But they've designed to the current regulations, which are obviously a lot more stringent than what's envisaged for Northbridge should that amendment get approved. So that we hope you can support us today. We're very happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. I'll refer to panel members online first. Councillor Doshi, did you have any questions of the presenter? No? Okay. Panel members in the room, any questions of the presenter?
None of them, thanks.
I just have one, if I may. Condition 12, which talks to the protection of trees during construction, suggests that the owner applicant would be liable for any damage or removal of those trees. Do you understand what those obligations entail?
Yes, yeah, we're fine with that. We've had a number of discussions with the city to see if one of the trees could be removed. Definitely not happening, so they're all staying. Yeah, we can definitely work around that. I should have said there's also some investment in the public realm under this site, which the proponent will work on should we get the approval. And part of that is to keep the trees and introduce some different curbing and furniture. So
all right.
That's all fine.
Thank you for that response. If there's no further questions, then we will.
I might just
yes,
follow.
please do.
Yeah, that public realm, what do you anticipate that being used for and when? Is that a spillover from a?
It's you might know Francis Street at the moment has flush curbs through this area. There's no actual curbs. The bit of Francis Street we're in now is basically inside of the street. So it's about just giving it a bit of an enhancement, some new paving, some trafficable paving for where we have a loading dock on the site, and some there'll be an alfresco dining permit for some outdoor tables and chairs. There's also a little bit of a few barriers around, because you can imagine, you know, if a major event here, there'll be people queuing up well before the event starts. So there's a few security safety issues as well. But it will remain as a public accessible area, just jazzed up a bit.
All right, thank you. If there are no further questions, then we'll invite questions of the local government officers, and then if there aren't too many questions or whatever, we'll let you make a little bit of a statement to fill in any gaps. Councillor Doshi, any questions? You have your hand up, yes.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much, and thank you for the very short and quick presentation. The question I have around the public realm part of this project is, obviously you're going to spruce it up. Number one, is it going to be in line with what we have at the City of Perth in terms of the streetscape? And number two, in terms of the maintenance of that public realm, how long will you look after it, and then will it be handed back to the city to maintain, or how will that work?
I think that's to you, Mr.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
The second part of that question is something we'll have to speak to the city's engineering team about. It's no different to any other, I think, works you see around Northbridge where you've got outdoor dining and that type of thing. I can't imagine there'll be much of a maintenance regime that's any different to any other works in the city. The first part of the question, yeah, it's generally consistent. Well, it is consistent with the city's street furniture specifications guidelines. We did meet with the urban design team at the city as well. At one point we were looking at some different paving, but we've gone with the City of Perth standard paving treatments. I don't think there's anything unusual in what's proposed. It's just giving it a bit of a spruce up after it being a loading dock for 40 years, really.
Okay, thanks, Councillor Doshi. So to the officers, any questions, Councillor Doshi, of the city officers? No, thank you. Panel members, questions of the council officers? No. I have one question, if I may, which is a follow-up to that inquiry around condition 12. Is there a policy or some reference in terms of what's entailed in terms of that liability, or is it fairly clear to the applicant what they need to do?
Yeah, I suppose, thank you for the question. It's fairly clear in a sense. As the applicant said, there had been some discussion about the potential removal of one of the trees, and the city didn't support that request, and the proponent redesigned the crossover and the access to the development to retain that tree. So we're very pleased with that outcome. I suppose the conditions tied in with the advice note in relation to trees as well is really just about our standard protection of trees. There is some documents at the city as well.
Okay. Lovely, thank you. So we've got Ms Knightsbury and Mr Colalilo from the city. Were there other points that you wish to raise in the context of this application for us to consider?
We don't have any particular comments to go over. We hope it's fairly straightforward and the RER is fairly clear, but if there's any other questions.
Okay, thank you. Further questions? Are we good to move ahead?
Thank you.
Right, thank you. So moving ahead then to the item, we have a responsible authority report for this item, which recommends that we approve the application subject to a number of conditions and advice notes. So I'm seeking a mover, please, for that. As a thank you, Councillor Doshi, and a seconder, please. Thank you, Mr Coltaz. Councillor Doshi, as mover, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
I reserve my right to speak. I'm happy to proceed.
I'll come back to you for right of reply then. Thank you. Mr Coltaz, as mover, would you like to, seconder, would you like to speak?
Yes, look, I think this is a great proposal. I think the fact that it's for live music, there's often the entertainment industry in Western Australia has been crying out for opportunities for live music venues and opportunities for their craft. 3,000 people auditorium would be interesting to see when it's full, and but it's good that it does cover a lot of genres of music and entertainment. Development conforms to the local planning strategy and development standards. It's great to see the adaptation of an existing building rather than bowling it over and putting in a new building. The operational management plan has been provided for noise and venue management, I think is good. It's subject to a liquor license through another process. And other than that, I think the council officers have put forward a good report covering a lot of the issues in terms of development standards and compliance, and the conditions are appropriate, so I'm fully supportive of it.
Thank you, Mr Coltaz. Mr Syme, did you wish to speak to the motion?
Just very briefly, look, there's a very interesting reuse of this building, and I think that it is being reused is good. As Alan said, it's not the best part of Northbridge, and I think this will enhance this general area quite substantially. I think the scariest part for me of all of this is design levels internally of starting at 103 decibels and going up to maybe up to 125 decibels. I find it fairly scary, but that's possibly something of passage of years which has led me to that. So yes, I think this is a very good use. It's exactly the right use in the right location, so I think it's easy to approve.
Thank you. I'll speak to the motion. Comfortable that this is an appropriate use, and certainly note its classification as a P use in the city centre. It's appropriate for the zone and this location. Appreciate the creative adaptive reuse of the warehouse. I think that's an excellent starting point. And note that it does meet the design principles that it has been assessed against. It's good activation of a redundant building and a redundant space around. So hopefully will improve the passive surveillance as well as the activation and other economic development spin-offs in that part of the centre. Agree with the other speakers that the conditions of approval support as well ongoing management, which is always important, even in the context of the city centre entertainment district. And I'm pleased that the applicants have looked at if you like, the current acoustic modelling against the current regulations, and noting that that will change in future and allow more flexibility. Other than that, I'm very happy to support the motion before us and have no amendments that I wish to make. Councillor Doshi, return to you as mover with right of reply.
Again, I echo the sentiments that you've said. I think it's the fantastic activation in that particular spot of Northbridge. Great use of the facility. I have actually been to events there in the past through Fringe, and it's great. So again, the passive activation is going to be fantastic for that area, and I just think it's a great thing. So thank you.
Okay. With that, I'll seek the vote on this motion with a show of hands. Those in favour? That's a unanimous decision. Thank you. Just closing out on this particular part of the agenda, we have no items for form 2 or for SAT reconsiderations. We therefore thank Councillor Doshi and Ms Knightsbury and Mr Colalilo for coming in, and thank the applicant for their presentation and close part B of the agenda at this point. Thank you. Those in the room and online, we're just changing over now to the next part of the agenda.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Mr Cruikshank, can you hear us in the room okay? Very good, thank you. And Councillor Minson, can you hear us okay? Thank you. We're just trying to contact Councillor Melrosa.
It's going straight to voice.
It's just going straight to voicemail at the moment. Councillor Minson or Mr Cruikshank, did you know if he was going to attend? No, okay, don't know.
We can ask if you can hear us.
Councillor Melrosa, are you online? We don't think he's online at all. No, and he hasn't been able to respond to the phone, so I think we might need to proceed without Councillor Melrosa at this point. Okay. We might commence this part of the meeting then at 9:51. And I'll introduce the panel members again. Still Karen Hyde as presiding member and Mr Eugene Coltas as deputy presiding member, so John Syme as specialist. Online we have Councillor Daniel Minson. I think we will be declaring Councillor Melrosa as an apology. But before I do that, can I seek, please, for this part of the meeting, declarations of due consideration from panel members, that you've duly considered all material in this part of the agenda. And we did have an updated presentation and an addendum to the RAR yesterday, so everybody's given due consideration. Any disclosures of interest for this item? Councillor Minson, was it considered at council? No, it wasn't. Okay, thank you very much. So moving ahead then to the application for lot 700, number 16 Leonard Street, Victoria Park, multiple dwellings. We have one presentation today from Nick Grindrod of Rise Urban. We also, I think, Nick, you've got with you David Chandler from Dale Alcott Projects and Luke Garswood, Connect Victoria Park, for questions. Okay. And Nick, we did receive your revised application, your revised presentation yesterday. So that has been circulated. So 3 minutes. I haven't allowed an extension. I'll let you know when you get close to time and then we'll open up for questions. All right. So when you're ready.
Thank you to the DAP for allowing us this time to speak. So we support the town's approval recommendation and we'd like to thank them for their support of this project and also for their availability over the last week, answering our questions in relation to the conditions and agreeing on some revised wording. So we are requesting that the DAP makes 5 minor changes and deletions to the conditions. Sorry, I'm having issues changing the slide. Thank you. So firstly, we do not support the requirement of condition 8A to shift the vehicle gate back. We believe this will compromise the streetscape aesthetics and security of the development, which is critical given the vulnerability of the residents. We're also concerned that it will increase noise exposure to the 3 adjacent apartments and reduce the width of the landscaping strip next to Unit 1. We understand that the town and DRP's intent is to prevent vehicles from blocking the footpath as the gate opens. As shown, the crossover is long enough to accommodate a waiting vehicle without completely blocking the footpath. We're also only proposing 7 car bays, so traffic will be limited, and there is no requirement for this in the planning framework. Initially, we didn't think that condition 8B was necessary. However, having reviewed the addendum, we do now accept the town's position and are prepared to review the materiality of the side fencing. So the slide should now read only condition 8A that we're requesting deletion of. Sorry, next slide. We note that the town doesn't support the use of adhesive film to obscure glazing. We are seeking to apply film to the bottom halves of these 4 windows shown on the slide, facing to the southeast, to avoid having to divide the panes of glass horizontally, structurally, which we believe would compromise the external aesthetics and the internal outlook. As such, we're seeking for the DAP to add the advice note shown on this slide. The town has taken this position to prevent the film being removed in future, and in this respect, we would like to assure everybody that this will not occur. Connect Victoria Park will retain ownership of the site in perpetuity, I believe minimum 50 years, Luke, and is a local organisation that values its ongoing relationship with the town. Next. Now on to the 3 changes that we've agreed with the town. Connect Victoria Park would like to use the public art requirement as an opportunity to involve the future residents in the public art design development process to build pride in their home. As such, we've agreed with the town to expand condition 4 and advice note 1 as per the wording shown on this slide to enable this to occur. Next. The town has advised that the intent of condition 5 is to ensure that the colours and materials that we presented throughout the DA process are delivered, and the intent of advice note 2 is to reflect a DRP comment that we should review the colours of the upper floor. We accept this, however, have agreed on these changes to the condition and advice note with the town via email over the last day or 2 to improve certainty. I don't think this was reflected in the addendum either, so hopefully this is a nice and easy one. Final change. The advice note on this slide can also be deleted as the planting strip width is compliant. Luke, David and I are now happy to answer any questions from the DAP. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grinchard. I'll refer to panel members online. Councillor Minson, did you have questions of the presenter or the other attendees with him?
Yeah, a couple of questions. Could I get clarification on, I guess, the issue in terms of security from setting back the roller door, what the actual risk is there?
I guess there's our concern relates to CPTED in that there are, I guess, given that there are some walls at different angles and varying levels of visual permeability, the people could go into that section as they walk down the footpath and then seek to jump the fence essentially. Whereas if the gate is closer to the street, there isn't that, I guess, zone that's separated from the view line down the street from potential casual surveillance from afar. And therefore we think that it's a compromised outcome.
Thank you. The other question on condition 5, just seeking clarity. So that has now been, I guess, clarified with the town's officers, and I guess I'll ask the question of the town officers later. But that the proposed change is now just to update the wording to final. Instead of as amended, and that I guess that the other note about the axon cladding that the applicant accepts that there is no, I guess, no implied restriction on that axon cladding. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. So the changes that we showed on the slide, the revision of as amended to final, and then the minor changes to advice note 2, just to provide a bit of further clarity. We've agreed on those.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions, Councillor Minson, at this point? Thank you. Panel members in the room, questions of the presenter, Mr. Colthouse.
Yes, shifting that gate back, is there a compromise in that? I mean, 8.4 metres back seems to be a lot. It's a very long vehicle.
That was our view as well.
Get that slide.
We're just looking for the presentation so that we can refer to the plan on screen. We'll just be sharing that shortly in response to this question.
Would you like to speak further to that?
That's the first
David?
one. Well, sorry, the second slide, first image.
I presume the other issue is that shifting the gate back puts it adjacent to Unit 1 and there'll be noise
Yeah.
ongoing.
We're concerned about the noise, obviously, in the operation of the gate, the opening and closing of it,
Yes.
and the fact that it's actually attached potentially to the building will transfer that noise. I mean, to answer the other question, it could come forward to the corner of the terrace. If you can see that line, so basically where well, it's on grid A, so, but again, there's the same issues that Nick raised around, people being able to loiter in that space, set back from the street. There's a fence there that changes in level and so on, does compromise the security of that courtyard and that front unit. So I think the image demonstrates that there is space for people to go around the car if it is waiting there. And the fact that we've got 7 car bays on site means that the volume of traffic is minimal. I think that interface can be managed as it is everywhere else. Fundamentally, it's not in the planning scheme, as I understand. So it seems to be a slightly onerous requirement to add.
Not unusual. It's
Sure, but
issues that aren't mentioned in
Other
planning.
questions?
Can I ask about the film on the windows? What's the issue with obscure glazing? Because it'll be obscured anyway, won't it?
Yeah,
the problem is that you're talking about a single pane of glass. Maybe again, if we could go back to the image. And so the height for privacy is midway up that pane of glass.
Yeah.
So the only way that you can use obscure glass is either to change the whole glass pane, which is raising the level of the obscure treatment, which is therefore diminishing the outlook and light and so on, or else we have to introduce a transom so that you can split the type of glazing. I mean, we use film on glazing all the time as a privacy device, and the owner is prepared to provide an undertaking if that's necessary. I just think it's a reasonable approach rather than requiring it to be actually integral to the glass itself.
I guess from an amenity perspective as well, these are the south-facing units, and so access to and also their outlook is more compromised due to these visual privacy requirements validly. And so I guess what we're attempting to do is maintain as much of an outlook and access to sky from the internal living areas as much as possible.
Well, sorry to sort of interrupt. I think that was your point. Was your point rather, why do we need the obscured glazing when we've already got the screening to the balcony? Or are you comfortable with the answer that you?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with the answer.
All right. Other questions? Mr. Syme.
I just follow up on that. What's the problem with the transom?
Well, it's blocking the outlook. It's changing the appearance of the window. I mean, we're offering a solution that is pretty standard industry-wide, that addresses this particular R-code requirement. I thought, and given the extra undertakings that we're making, that was acceptable.
Yep, follow up by
Just
Mr.
to follow up,
Coulter.
are these rentals or are they?
Yeah, so say build to rent development, Connect Victoria Park will be managing them. And yeah, you're not allowed to sell them off.
That's right. It's community housing.
Thank you.
Oh gosh. Okay. Councillor Melrose, I gather you just joined us in the meeting. He's coming. I think you're just coming on screen.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, it just had to connect me.
Yeah. Sorry, Councillor Melrose. Happy to have you in the meeting. We did actually make a start without you. We tried to
That's okay.
contact you. Okay.
I'm unwell today. It's been a real rough start to the day, but
gosh.
yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
You're happy to join the meeting though at this point? Yeah.
Yeah, I think I've just missed the presentation or part of the presentation.
Couple of matters. Could I just check from a due consideration point of view that you've considered all the materials? Thank you. And did you have any declarations of interest to make?
No.
And Councillor Minson's already explained it wasn't considered at council.
Correct.
The presentation that has been made was around the material that was circulated last night, which was from the applicant, the updated presentation. And we're now just at the point of asking questions of the presenter. Councillor Minson's asked a couple of questions, as has Mr. Coltas and Mr. Syme. I'll just check if Mr. Coltas and Mr. Syme have finished with their questions, and then I'll refer to you for any questions you may have.
Finish up, yeah.
Coltas has no further, Mr. Syme. Okay, Councillor Melrose, did you have questions about the presentation that you've considered?
No, not right now.
Okay. I have a question then, and it goes to my point early on. Are we in danger here of doubly obscuring windows? We have balcony screening, and there's a suggestion of obscuring glazing as well through film or whatever. I'm just a little concerned about the amenity to the ultimate occupants, given, as you say, this is south facing. It gets a lot less sunlight, if any, to that facade versus those on the northeast, where I think you've sort of corrected that through screening. But I'm just a little concerned that we're doubling up on screening and wondering how essential the obscured glazing is.
Just to be clear, I'm maybe misunderstanding your point. There's two separate issues, right? We've got the windows that have no physical screening that require the obscure glazing under the R codes. And then there's the balconies that have physical screening, essentially to achieve the same thing.
I think the
balconies are on doors into the same space which face east.
Southeast, yeah.
So these units, so we're not, there's no major opening or area of balcony where there's going to be two sets of screening, one being redundant. So these windows, the sections that are obscured, we're proposing obscure tinting, and then the balconies, the southern side at least, would have the screening. So they will still have an open aspect to the east for the eastern ones and the west for the western ones. And then for the living areas, there is a window to the kitchen. It won't provide a substantial outlook. And then there is this, I guess, section above 1.6 metres that we're seeking to keep as clear and I guess continuous as possible, i.e. not having a super obvious border between parts of the glazing to maintain, I guess, perception of outlook internally as much as possible.
We would love to get rid of the obscure glazing, but it's basically an R code requirement. So if we can get dispensation on it, that'd be ideal.
What is the view cone that you have projected there?
So the setback, from memory, building setback is 3 metres, and the requirement it differs from the windows and the outdoor living areas. From memory, 4.5 and 6, but actually bear with me, I'll pull up the R codes and give you a proper answer.
The living spaces, so it'll be 6.
I was just wondering what distance you've measured from the points of sensitivity.
Yeah, so I guess the cone of vision would project from the living areas, would project 1.5 metres into the lots to the south, and then 3 metres for the balcony. I
Okay.
guess the balcony is beside the point. So it's a 1.5 metre cone of projection to directly answer your question.
Okay, all right, thank you for that answer. Any further questions?
So, yeah, are you
Mr. Poltaz.
proposing a film on the balcony glazing?
No, it's only the windows.
And that's the way that you've chosen, or that you are dealing with the privacy issue under the R codes. Did you consider any other techniques that wouldn't include that film or obscure glazing?
Yes, we did, but they would have been quite radical redesigns, which would have compromised a whole range of other things.
Okay, all right, thank you. If there are no further questions of the presenter, what we'll do is now refer to the local government staff, and we've got Kelly Wilson and Robert Cruikshank online for questions. So I'll refer to panel members online first. Councillor Minson, did you have questions of the officers?
Thank you. I guess just getting your also perspective on that condition number 5. So what's currently proposed then as an amendment is agreeable to the town?
Yes, the amendments to condition 5 as outlined in the applicant's presentation have been agreed to.
Okay, thank you. Did the town have a comment, I guess, on the feedback we just received on the security issues and I guess the amenity issues for setting back the security gate or the?
We didn't have a particular perspective. We weren't coming from the perspective of safety and security. I guess the town's desire for the gate to be further set back was largely to deal with a visitor vehicle or a vehicle overhanging the footpath as it's waiting for the gate to open. So that was our primary focus, and the design review panel's recommendation for the gate to be set back was on that basis. It wasn't necessarily deal with a security issue. I suppose just in terms of the condition which talks about an 8.4 metre setback, it just seemed to us that was a natural location for it to go, being in line with the living dining room wall. It's not to say it couldn't come closer, but it would have to be 5.4 metres away to accommodate a vehicle on site. And it would seem to me that would then sit in the middle of a terrace. So, yeah, again, there is scope for it to come forward, but our view was the natural location for it to go was 8.4 metres back.
On the commentary on the glazing for those kitchen windows, is it a kind of a combination, like an equal combination between, I guess, an issue with the worry that it'll be removed at some point in the future, or is it more like an amenity and that it is I guess a cheaper fixture?
It really comes down to, I suppose, a consistent application of the R codes, because the R codes, and I'm sorry, I'm just going to grab from the presentation. The relevant clause of the R codes talks about privacy screening, and it talks about it needs to be permanent obscure glazing. So I guess our concern was that a film is not permanent. It could be removed at any time. Now, I understand the applicant's good intentions and have no reason to suggest the applicant won't commit to what they've said to do, but it just leaves open an element of risk that at some point in time, if maybe someone who isn't as diligent in managing the premises, or the film gets removed by a tenant for a period of time at least, maybe until the Connect Vic Park is able to remedy the issue, then there could be some issues. So I guess our perspective is really following the R codes. It needs to be permanent obscure glazing. Film is not permanent.
Final question on the screening, just seeking some clarity. So my understanding from reading the the report was that initially there was no screening or minimal screening proposed. It went out to community consultation. There was, I guess, feedback that focused on the issue of privacy and overlooking of neighbouring properties. The applicant re-put screening on, I guess, all the outlooks, and then the design review panel took screening off. Is that kind of and then that's where we're at today? Is that?
That's a pretty good summation. I guess just to say is that the issue with privacy today has largely been with privacy to the northeast boundary. So the property to the northeast is a vacant portion of land. So originally, yes, the applicant had proposed essentially open screening, open balconies and windows, which would have overlooked, or which do overlook, that property. So I guess when it went out for public comments, we received objections from the landowner to the east around the overlooking of their lot, which again is a vacant lot at this point in time. So the applicant's response to the objections from the neighbouring property was to screen many, if not most, of those openings along that northeastern boundary, which resulted in some instances balconies being enclosed on either at least one of the two sides or all sides, and resulted in a number of highlight windows. So as you could imagine, that was a pretty compromised amenity outcome for those units, having very little outlook to open sky and having enclosed balconies. So that what then transpired during the application process was that only as of a couple of weeks ago, we received a development application for the property now to the northeast. So that really changed I guess, the thinking, insofar as while that remained a vacant lot, there was concerns around the openings to the northeast and the potential overlooking of future sensitive areas on that property there. We've now received a development application for the property to the northeast, and the drawings show a driveway located along the common boundary, and the proposed buildings on the adjoining property being located, can't remember the figure, but I think it's at least 6 or so meters back from the boundary. And I guess logically what it shows is any development of that site will have north-facing courtyards, so not on the shared boundary here, but on the other side of the property. So that then gave us and the design review panel comfort that as much as the applicant had gone to the, I guess, the effort of screening those openings to the northeast to deal with potential unknown privacy issues in the future to the northeast, we now have some level of comfort that we know potentially what might now happen on that adjoining property to the northeast, and therefore there was opportunity to eliminate those screens and highlight windows to the northeast. So the applicant's now taken advantage of that, and we're supporting the windows and openings to the northeast now, not having screening screening and highlight windows, because they're only overlooking a driveway and not overlooking sensitive areas. So on a performance basis, that's what we're supporting. But the discussion about privacy today, and I suppose the applicant's contention around condition 10, is not relating to any openings to the northeast. It's relating to openings to the southwest. And I guess our view still remains the same, that the obscure film isn't an appropriate solution. That's condition 10A. And then in terms of condition 10B, that's just in relation to 2 of the balconies, units 9 and 15. They need to have screening on 1 of their 2 sides.
Thank you for that comprehensive response. Councillor Minson, did you have some further questions?
Thank you.
Just check with the applicant you're comfortable with that response and chronological history of things.
Yeah, so in terms of what happened with the northeastern side, that's accurate. It was, I think, as I said previously, a bit of a black swan event that DA came in. Yeah, I guess our only comment in relation to the film contention is we think it's a bit of a stretch.
Okay, but we've heard from you on that. Yeah, thank you. Councillor Minson, did you have further questions of the officers?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Malrosa, did you have questions of the officers?
Not at this time, Presiding Member.
Thank you. Panel members in the room, questions of the officers. Mr. Syme.
Yeah, Robert, condition 10, you're only requiring obscure glazing on units 9 and 15. They're the ones at the back. You've got two others which don't apply on the same elevation. That's 11 and
5.
5. Yeah, they're in a different location. The boundary condition's different. Is that right?
Yeah, it should be fine as well.
Yes, so sorry, thank you. Yeah, as the applicant made their presentation, I think that became a realisation to us. Hang on, it applies to those two others that they've shown on the drawing. So thank you for picking it up. Our view is that, having a quick look at the aerial photo, is that similarly, it should be unit 5 and 11, as well as units 9 and 15.
Okay. And it's not clear, and maybe this is back to the applicant, if I may. There's a kitchen window above the kitchen sink on each one of those units. Window 05. It's not shown in any of the elevations, and they're facing internally. What do those windows look like?
So we're not proposing any form of film.
No, I'm just wondering, are they highlight windows or?
These two.
Expect them to be glazed, but to be.
Emery, I think the sill is 1500.
1500, so they're highlight windows. Yeah, okay.
Other questions, Mr. Syme, of the officers?
No, not at this stage. No.
Okay, thank you,
From
Mr.
me?
Coltas. Nothing from you. Okay. I just have a question for somebody in terms of the overshadowing diagrams. Are you comfortable? A couple of the areas seem to indicate over 40% of overshadowing. Is your assessment taking account of it as a single lot rather than as the individual stratas?
Thank you, through the chair. Our assessment undertook based on the individual strata lots, not the overall lot.
Okay, and you were comfortable. You were comfortable with what that modelling was showing?
Yes, it was comfortable with. I checked it ourselves in the house, and the assessment is compliant.
Okay, all right, and again, there's conditions requiring universal access, not so much the internal design, but universal access. And there was a question in the RAR around levels. Are you comfortable that that condition it can be achieved without significantly changing what we see before us today?
Well, we have no reason to believe it can't be achieved, but I guess there's an onus on both of us, the applicant as well, to be comfortable it can be achieved, and probably the applicant and their consultant team may have a greater understanding of those accessibility requirements. So I guess we'll work through that process as the design develops.
Okay, thank you. And are you comfortable with, because we received some information from you last night in terms of an addenda, but condition 5, you're still comfortable with those changes to condition 5? And advice note 2?
Yes, we're content with condition 5 which is now amended as per the applicant's presentation.
Okay, lovely. Thank you. Any further questions of the officers before we move ahead? All right, thank you very much. So we have therefore a responsible authority report which recommends to us that we approve this application subject to a number of conditions and advice notes. So in the first instance, I'm seeking a mover for that as the primary motion. I have a mover. Mr. Coltaz moves. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Mr. Syme seconds. Mr. Coltaz, would you like to speak to the motion, please?
Yes, look, this proposal ticks a lot of the boxes as far as the town planning scheme is concerned and the various policies for this locality. Subject to public advertising, and the issues raised were primarily visual privacy and parking. In regard to parking, it complies with the provisions of the R codes. The building design is fit for purpose. It's for disability.
People over 60 years of age.
60, I think it was 55 or something, yeah. But yeah, so it sort of suits that, and it was part of a assessment through the design review panel, and whilst the design review panel didn't tick everything off, it raised a few issues such as landscaping and building design, but eventually the applicants have made amendments to their design that addresses most of the concerns of the design review panel. In landscaping, I think there's a condition there that they're going to look at that further. It's been subject to assessment from lighting plans, communal open space, living spaces, dwelling size and mixed setbacks, servicing, parking, as I said. So from that point of view, the proposal is well and truly assessed, and the council responsible authority report is supportive of it. So from that point of view, I'm supportive of it as well. I think it's a well-designed building. The amendments to the plans have addressed a number of concerns. So I am supportive of it, but in regard to that, I'd like to make a couple of amendments.
Yes.
I'm amendment number 1. I'm happy to delete condition 8A.
Yes. Is there a seconder, please, for that? I'll say. Did you have your hand up? I didn't see. No. I'll have my hand up for seconding. Thank you.
Okay.
Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, I think the fact that there is a limited number of parking spaces, I don't think there'll be issues associated. All along that area, there's unit developments that and medium density developments that don't have issues with vehicles crossing footpaths. I think that people are generally appreciative and understand the need to stop security gates, and I think that from a septet issue, I don't think creating a void in that driveway or setback driveway for the gate for people to loiter, etc., is good. I think moving the gate back could also impact on the amenity of the units, number 1. So I'm supportive of leaving the gate where it is shown on the plans.
Thank you. As seconder, I concur with those comments. I think this is a relatively small development. We're only talking about a small number of vehicles coming and going. I think any trade vehicles will find alternate places to park on street, or will be able to move into the car park for their needs. We're only talking about a short period of time while while the gates are opening, or there's liaison for those gates to open. I don't think it will create a big inconvenience. I see from the plans there's still room to manoeuvre around the front of the vehicle. And I think also, you know, we have to consider vehicles exiting as well. And I think this is a much better arrangement for those vehicles who are able to move forward through the gates before entering and seeing who's on the footpath. So I'm happy to support the amendment to delete 8A. Other speakers for or against? Mr. Syme.
Yes, look, I did give some thought about to this, and I do understand the city's position, but this is not an uncommon condition in this area, I've noticed, and and there's two things, I suppose. One is, first of all, we're talking about a very small number of car movements in there, but it's only 7 lanes. Secondly, it does create a bit of a nuisance on the road, but these are very low speed roads, and it's a sort of advanced form of traffic calming, if you like. I visited a house in a street nearby not long ago, and it was not easy to get into, but that means I was falling along. That's probably not a bad thing. So for that reason, I think we can do that. The other thing that struck me as well, there's always, because there's a low number of car movements in here, there's always the temptation for somebody to park in that location in front of the lock gate for short or longer periods of time. And I think, you know, if we can avoid some potential for conflict on that sort of basis, I think that's a good thing too. So I think in this case, and it's unusual, but I think in this case we can support deleting condition 8.
Thank you. Other speakers for or against this amending motion? Councillor Melrosa, you have your hand up.
Can I just ask a question of the town, please? It's in relation to this particular change.
All right, I'll allow it.
Thank you. Is this a policy position the town has to create a dwell space in a driveway?
Thank you for the question. No, as the applicant had outlined, there is no necessary statutory position, or policy provision around this. But I guess, as always, we're looking for good design outcomes, and it was felt in this instance that it was a better design outcome to relocate the gate, but there's no statutory provision that requires the gate to go back. No.
Thank you. Did you wish to speak to the motion, Councillor Melrosa?
No, thanks.
Okay. Councillor Minson, did you wish to speak to the amending motion?
Quickly, I support the deletion of the requirement. I think on balance, the better outcomes from having the gate in line with the front terrace fence and minimising the impact on kind of landscaping along that driveway outweighs, I guess, the risk of pedestrians needing to wait for a car to pull in. So on balance, I'm happy to support the deletion.
Okay, thank you. To the mover, Mr. Coltas, did you wish to say anything
further?
further? I'll put amendment 1 to the vote. Those in favour? That's unanimous. Thank you very much. Back to you, Mr. Coltas.
Yes, I support move that condition 5 and advice note number 2 be amended in accordance with the agreed position between the applicants and the city, so that the words in condition 5 and amended external colours be replaced by the word final external colours, and in advice note 2 the words finishes and materials be deleted, and after the words upper floor walls the words and or other design elements be included in that advice note.
Thank you. Is there a seconder to that amendment? Mr. Syme, thank you. Mr. Coltas, did you wish to speak to this?
No, I think we understood the, sorry, yes, I do wish. The conditions are both that the applicants and the council supportive of that, just to clarify their positions. So leave it at that.
Thank you. Mr. Syme, seconder.
No, just to make the point that I think it is important that those final finishes and so on are taken back to the council just to get understanding on as to what's going to happen. I think it's a specific point that the design review panel made. I think the renders which we're looking at probably are not fair to what the materials schedule is, as I can read it on the plan. So I think some attention to that is worthwhile.
Thank you. Other speakers for or against this amendment? No further speakers. Did you wish to say anything further? I'll put this amendment to the vote then. Those in favour of amendment 2? That's unanimous. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Coltas.
Amendment number 3, completion of advice note 4D 7.
Okay.
Regarding the widening of.
Okay, is that seconded? Mr. Syme seconded. Do you wish to speak to the motion, Mr. Colfax?
Just to say that it's agreed to by both the applicants and the council, so happy to support that.
Thank you, Mr. Syme. Did you wish to say anything further? Other speakers on this amendment? I'll put this amendment to the vote. Those in favour of amendment 3? That's unanimous. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Colfax.
They're the only changes that I'm proposing in the amendments.
Okay. So as seconder, Mr. Syme, did you wish to speak to the substantive motion?
Briefly, this is a worthwhile development. It's a sort of accommodation which I think is important. It's a really good location to it. It's been fairly well resolved, I think, from an architectural point of view. I think there's some challenges in terms of site levels and finished building levels, which and its relationship with the driveway, which I'm sure will be established in the course of the building. Apart from that, I think it's worthwhile. I think the conditions that we've changed are appropriate ones. As we go past it, I'm not inclined to change condition condition 10. I think a transom and a properly finished solution to that, which is actually frosted glass, I think is the right thing. I don't think film in this location is appropriate or attractive. I will pick up on another amendment, if I may.
Yes, amendment 4.
Amendment 4 regarding public art. And I think, as I understand, this has been agreed by the city, and the city has provided a suggested wording.
Condition 4 and advice note 1B, is that correct?
Yes. So that would be the wording as provided by the town, condition 4 regarding public art.
Thank you. Seconder for that. I'm happy to second. Thank you. Oh, sorry, Councillor Minson seconds. Yes. Did you wish to speak to that, Mr. Syme?
No, I think well, two things. First of all, it's good in this case that the public art contribution has been reduced and halved. I think there are some instances, I think increasingly, where the public art provision is becoming a bit of a tax on development. I think we need to have a look at, and I think the idea that the ability for the proponent to actually incorporate this with not only a physical piece of public art at the end of it, but also an involvement process with the people, I think with the community is a good thing. So I think a legal agreement and deferring the development of it for some time after the building has been completed, I think is an interesting and worthwhile approach. So that this condition will allow those to happen.
Thank you. Councillor Minson as seconder, would you like to speak to this amendment?
Yeah, thank you. And just to acknowledge that the reduction in the 1% contribution to 0.5 is, I guess, acknowledging the fact that this is social housing and community housing as the justification for the reduction, and that also support the plan to have the residents involved. I think it's a great idea, and it'll be a fun little process to go through, I think.
Thank you. Other speakers for or against this amendment? In that case, I'll put this, did you wish to say anything further? I'll put this amendment to the vote. Those in favour of amendment 4? That's unanimous. Thank you. Did you wish to pick up those ones in condition 10?
Oh, yes. Condition 10.
This would be amendment 5.
I will seek to amend condition 10 to include units, Robert, 11 and
5.
5 and
So this is in 10B.
in 10.
Is this in 10B?
And
A.
10A.
10A, in fact, because we've already got it in 10.
Yeah.
10A units becomes units 9, 15, 5 and 11.
Okay. All right. Is there a second?
Sorry, Robert, does that apply to B as well?
No. That's
No.
okay.
let's get clarification on that one. Looking
Yes.
at that west elevation, are we
South
proposing
elevation.
here?
South elevation.
Southwest.
South elevation.
Southwest.
Let's get clarification.
Sorry, Mr. Cruikshank, could you just clarify, earlier in the discussion, you had mentioned that perhaps there was an oversight in the scripting of this condition and that something needed to be added to be consistent. In response to Mr. Syme's question, we're just seeking clarification of where that editing should occur in relation to 10A and 10B.
Does it apply to the
I'm just seeking advice from the officer at the moment as to whether it's A and B. So if you just bear with me, if that's okay.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Cruikshank.
Units 11 and 5 already have balcony screens noted, as does 15, so it just becomes consistent. They're noted on the plan anyway. So.
Thank you. There is a reference, as is mentioned on the floor plan, to screen, but when you look at the elevation, it appears to me to just be a balustrade. And whether the reference to a screen is the architectural, I'm not sure what the reference to screen is. That's probably what I'm saying. It's just not clear to me as to what's proposed. I guess come to the chase though, it maybe seems on further reflection that there is a need for the side of those balconies to be screened to units 5 and 11. So that would require condition B to also refer to 5 and 11. Happy for the applicant post DA if the conditions to be amended in that fashion to include 5 and 11. Happy for the applicant post DA to demonstrate to us that it's in fact not required, and we could deal with that through an amendment to strike it off. But at this point in time, at the moment, it would probably seem that yes, it is required.
Okay, thank you. I'll include those in 10B as well.
Could we also please include the words unless otherwise agreed with the town?
Unless otherwise agreed with the town.
Okay, thank you. So that's moved by Mr. Syme, that is to add 5 and 11 to 10B, and also the words unless otherwise agreed with the town before the word and in that sentence. Is there a seconder, please, for that? Thank you, Mr. Colthouse. Mr. Syme, did you wish to speak to that?
No, I think we've worked over it a fair bit.
Okay.
Just clarifying that it's to be, unless otherwise agreed, to come after the constructed/installed in the last last paragraph.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so it gives an out if you don't require it, sort of thing. Yeah. Okay, no, I'm just clarifying that, so I'm supporting.
Thank you. Other speakers for this amendment 5? I'll put amendment 5 to the vote. Those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you. Back with you, Mr. Syme, seconder. Nothing. Okay, so we're back to the substantive motion and speakers. On screen, Councillor Minson, did you wish to speak to the substantive?
Yeah, quickly, supportive of the development. I think it's a great outcome for the community to expand Connect Victoria Park's access to and its available services to the community, and look forward to the expanded service for everyone in the community.
Thank you. Councillor Melrosa, did you wish to speak to the substantive? No? Okay. I'll just say a few words in support of the development, which I think provides much needed social and affordable housing for people aged over 55 in a location where this density is appropriate, R60. I do note it's relatively near, fairly short walk of facilities and services of the Albany Highway, so ideally located, I think, and further reduces the dependency on motor vehicles and allows for active transport and the use of public transport. So generally it's been supported by the design review panel. It's always good to know that. We discussed at length the balcony enclosures and the screening. Personally, I'm not a fan of obscure glazing, but I do understand the proximity to neighbours, the issues there, and the context of the R codes. So, but obviously the design has tried to minimise the use of that and offer the optimal views and access to natural light that they can. It's well proportioned, it's pretty well orientated. I'm happy with those variations that have been put forward in the context of the typology, and therefore can support as we have before us and amended. So, Mr. Colthouse, you moved the original. Would you like to write a reply or close debate?
No, I think we've gone through the issues quite well, so I'll put it.
All right, so let me put the substantive as amended to the vote. Those in favour, please show of hands. Thank you, that's unanimous. Just returning back to the agenda very quickly. No items for Form 2, no items at SAT 31 reconsiderations. There are a number of applications for this DAP before the SAT and Supreme Courts, but nothing at this point for the town of Victoria Park. And at this point, I'd like to thank Councillor Minson and Councillor Melrosa for their attendance on the panel, and thank Ms Wilson and Mr Cruikshank officers for attending, and thank the presenters and the applicant for their inputs, and other panel members in the room, thank you, and to the support staff, always keeping us rolling very well. I will draw the meeting to a close at 10:49. Thank you.